In today's episode of the Pathmonk Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Nicky Wilkins, and he's heading over as the head of customer engagement for the product bluQube. And bluQube is developed by the software house Symmetry, and it's actually been around since 1996. And bluQube is an accounting software. It's just not that basic cloud accounting software. Today we're going to be learning what's specific about bluQube, how the product is developing, and also how Nicky is thinking about growth for the company. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah, give us that 360 overview. What is the bluQube product by Symmetry all about?
Well, I have to say that was a fantastic introduction. So I will build upon that. So you're right. We've been around for 25 years. We produce accounting software. Accounting software, by definition, has to do a set number of things. It's quite unique in software development. So you obviously have to subscribe to all of the statutory accounting. You have to do things that have been around for centuries. Double entry bookkeeping will never ever change. So in that degree, we all do the same thing. So how do we make ourselves different? How do we make ourselves unique? These days, it is really about the customer experience. That's where our efforts are going. So it's thinking about when using the software, how easy is it to start using it from scratch, having never picked it up before? How easy is it to go further, to get more from it? How easy is it to help yourself to get support from that software? What we're seeing with our customers, with the organizations that we help, is that no longer is restricted to the finance team. So most processes now are spreading further and wider across an organization so that people that have no finance training are finding themselves interacting with the finance software, whether that's raising an expense claim, a timesheet, a purchase order, getting reporting information. So that customer experience is becoming more varied, more different, and we're adapting to that to ensure we can meet the needs of our customers.
Very good. And what would you say, which types of companies would benefit most, right? I mean, if we head over, and people who are listening in, you can head over to bluqube.co.uk, and you will see there's varied ranges of customers. That it's even educational institutions, for example, as I spot here on the website. What's the typical type of company that is onboarding the solution, and who's it suited for best?
It's not a market type. So again, because it's accounting software, we can add up anything. So you're right. We have customers that work within the public sector, within further education and higher education. We work with people that are in charities. We work with all sorts of commercial organizations. Accounting is accounting. So what we tend to find is we have developed quite a personality within our company, within our service, even within our product. And so what we're looking for is people that see bluQube and say, I really like that. I like how that looks. I like how that feels. And if we get that response, then they're definitely people for us.
Very cool. And who would you say within those organizations, is that, actually the head of finance, or is it even coming sometimes from other angles of who would be bringing in bluQube into the organization?
I mean, yes, the head of finance is obviously going to be a key stakeholder, and that role actually within organizations we are seeing is changing. One of the things that I found in talks that I've been giving over the last 5 years is talking about the fact that a long time ago, a head of finance was responsible for producing the monthly accounts, producing the annual accounts, and making sure the tax return was done. Those responsibilities are still there, but now they actually take a far more strategic role within the organization, actually steering decisions, starting to influence policy, starting to influence commercial strategy. And that relies upon them having access to information and being able to share that with other people in a digestible way. So yes, our head of finance there is still going to be interested in bluQube, but because they can get other people interested in what bluQube has to offer. So then you're starting to talk to the key C-suite executives within an organization. You're talking to people that run the production element within that organization so that they can see their performance against their targets. So yeah, it's much wider than just the head of finance, but we can't neglect them.
Makes sense. I mean, you guys been around for a while, as we mentioned prior. How do these folks that we were just talking about, how do they, learn about bluQube? I'm pretty sure you got a pretty strong word of mouth going on within those, finance leads, but maybe tell us a little bit more sort of like the typical channels that people would leverage or would leverage in order to, basically grow.
Yeah, I mean, we are very proud of the fact that we do still get a lot of references from word of mouth. And as I say, I think if people really associate with what we're doing, they're very actually happy to shout about it. So that is a strong part of it. We used to spend a lot of time going out to business shows and attending things like the Accountex events in the UK, which were held nationally, and that would be a big national forum for people coming to say we're thinking of changing systems, we're thinking of learning more. With the onset of COVID, with the onset of this world change, we don't do that anymore. So now what we are doing is we're generating a lot more awareness by creating content online, by commenting and writing articles in different publications, and talking about the fact that you can demand more from your accounting package. As I alluded to, that idea of it's just for the accounts, I think is old world. And now the accounting system should be seen as something that is providing real intelligence, real critical intelligence to your organization. So yeah, we're spending a lot of time sharing those ideas.
So I'm curious, right? Because you're holding the title of the head of customer engagement, and it's an interesting title because it can mean sort of different things in different organizations a little bit. Maybe give us sort of an overview, like what falls into the responsibility of, a head of customer engagement at bluQube.
So I look after the customer engagement team, so part of my role is managerial and in supporting my own team. But our team really has two key drivers. We look after our customers. So partly is talking to our existing customers and meeting with them and sharing ideas with them and looking to help them get more from bluQube. And that's either making them aware of features and functionality or services that are already there, or working with them to develop new features and services and say, hey, that's a great idea. And we release 4 maintenance releases a year for bluQube, and that's always containing suggestions and enhancements from our customers. So that's one half of my role. The other half is more outward looking and is talking to people that are thinking about changing away from their incumbent finance system and are including bluQube in their thoughts, in their shortlist. And we're there then to help them shape new ideas, to make them aware of what finance systems can do now. As I say, moving on from just producing those statutory accounts, and helping them to make that decision and work out what's right for their next change.
That makes sense. And what role does the website play in that endeavor? The second one that you were just describing, are people, moving over from their current solutions to bluQube? What role do you, see for the website in that journey?
Heavy part for both. I mean, we produce a lot of content for our own customers. We have a content-rich customer center, which is sitting securely within the website, where we drive people to find out more about what we're doing. Whenever we do our own webinars, we host those. We will put all those sorts of recordings on the website. So there's a lot of resources there that we make available to our customers, but then also just opening out to people who are looking at bluQube. It's one of the first places you can go to take a look at the product. It's one of the first places you can go to get a sense, as I say, of our personality, of what it's going to be like to deal with us and what it's going to be like to use the software. And I do think both of those factors are really key in thinking about making that change, because you don't change finance systems very often. Most organizations wouldn't even think about doing this, and any shorter than every 5 years. A lot of our customers have been with us for more than 10, more than 15 years. So it's a long-term relationship. And with that in mind, the feel of the support team, the account management team, the services team is also really, really important. And I think the website is, as I say, the introduction to how that's going to feel, what that experience is going to be like.
I mean, when we have folks on the show, I always like to ask, and it's quite interesting because you're coming from that customer engagement angle. What do you think sort of the strength of the website versus, where do you even see room for improvement? Because typically a website is a, ever breathing and living organism. How do you think about that?
I'm not sure I dare to make suggestions of how we'd improve our website. I think the head of marketing would come running into the room and strangle me. But I think to say that the strengths are it's an introduction. So what we try and avoid doing is putting 10-minute videos of the software on there and saying to people, you can see a full demonstration, because people won't watch that. What they will do is they'll watch something that's 30 seconds long and they'll go, okay, I can see that. And actually we are doing more and more of that. So I know that what has been successful is we have broadened what you can find on the website from just saying, yes, it's accounting software, it's great, and quick looks, to now we're starting to focus on some of the more deeper areas. So for example, bluQube is very, very good at helping companies to have multiple entities. So where they do things like consolidated reporting, consolidated accounting, automatically sharing information in between different companies. Now that was a footnote in our requirements list on the website probably 6 months ago. And more recently, what we've done is we've created a sub page where, if that's what you're looking for, you say, oh yeah, I recognize that. You click into that page, and then it just takes you through some of the screenshots. It asks you some questions of, is this the sort of thing that resonates with you? And people can say yes or no. And if they do, then they're sent to an area which really gets into the granular detail of that. Now, it's not a distraction for somebody just coming in, first of all, that says, just want to know about bluQube. But if that phrase resonates, they can then go and find their way through. So again, I'm not going to suggest I'm an expert on our website design, but I know from talking to the team and I know from their briefings of me helping people to get more from the website. The idea is you can start at a high level, and then where you see what resonates for you, you can then actually get down into quite a lot of granular detail if you want to.
Very cool. Yeah, let's switch gears a little bit, because it's very interesting to sort of deep dive more in that customer engagement angle. So in overall, the discipline of customer engagement, customer success is getting more sophisticated by the day, right? There's a lot of blog posts, there's a lot of even books coming out on the discipline. How do you keep on educating yourself? Like, what's your favorite places to sort of keep up to date on what's happening in the customer success and engagement arena, and how do you filter?
I do use LinkedIn a lot. I think for me, there's people that I follow, either close peers or just people that I recognize within the industry or wider that have interesting things to say, that produce interesting content. So that's probably my first place to go. What I find these days is you get spun off in lots of other places, because people are posting content from other sites, from other platforms. So yeah, for me, when I find time to think, that's probably my starting point. As I say, there's people that I particularly enjoy their thoughts, their ideas.
Cool. Since we're slowly approaching the end of the interview, I would love to jump into our rapid fire questions. They're a surprise for our guests. The regular listeners know about them, but it's just about getting to know you a little bit better. You ready for those?
Yeah, go ahead.
What is the last book you read or the last podcast you listened to?
Okay, so the last book I read is actually a Terry Pratchett book. He's one of my favorite authors, and I was on holiday for a weekend last weekend, so I picked up an old favorite. So I read Feet of Clay by Terry Pratchett.
What's one single thing your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Delivering new and better services. So the opportunity to move to a much more online delivery. So traditionally, everything that we did was when we sent consultants out, we used to go on site, we used to do everything in person. Again, circumstances have changed. We've seen this as a huge opportunity to be able to deliver more services, to deliver them in a different way. And actually that started to feed into changes in technology where we are automating a lot more of what our software does. So those two things in conjunction, I think, will really dramatically change what bluQube is in the next few years.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing that you would fix for your role today?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm not even sure how I'd know how to start answering it. I think probably just being able to more easily reach people. Even with video calling like we are now, we still hit loads of technical issues. I still find that people miss meetings or things go wrong, and that's probably my biggest frustration. So that is improving, but I think that's the thing where I would say it would be so much easier if you just go, "Can I just talk to you now?" Yeah.
And for the very last question, I'm curious. I would like to do a little bit of time travel, right? Because what is quite impressive, you've been with bluQube or Symmetry for that matter for a couple of years now, I'd say. Yeah. What did you say? Sorry, what did you say?
I've been 10 years with Symmetry now. Yeah.
There you go, 10 years. And what I would be curious, right, is if today would be your first day joining Symmetry, what would be the one advice that you would give yourself?
Again, a great question. I think it's changed a lot in 10 years. So I have to say, I think if I was starting now, the things that I have seen in my role change, I could probably help a new person starting now by saying that it's so much more about actually spotting the priorities. When we help people, we don't sell to them anymore. We 10 years ago, it was still a features and benefit. Look at what our software does. And yes, I still want to shout about that. But actually, people coming to us now, they already have their list of things that they need to check. And so much of what they're trying to understand is not about functionality. It's not about feature. It's more about feeling comfortable that they're going to be able to work with you. And so we spend a lot more time now actually providing confidence and reassurance and taking time with people to help them just make the decision. And so I think if I was advising me 10 years ago, I think I'd be saying, this is where the world is going, and think about that process and think about how you can really help people move through that journey so that they get to the end and feel completely confident in their decision.
That's a fantastic answer. Nicky, I really appreciate you took the time with us today to be a guest on Passmark Presents. I want to give you the very last word, right? If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about bluQube, what's the one thing that they should remember?
That word different. I think that is what you said at the top of the interview, and I think it's the thing that I always want people to consider is accounting software, like the providers, we can be different, can be enjoyable.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Passmark Presents.
Thank you.